Let's talk about parasitology. I am April Queenie Dumay Almeda, a fourth-year BS Biology student.
Parasitology is a scientific discipline concerned with the study of the biology of parasite and its parasitic diseases, including the distribution, biochemistry, physiology, molecular biology, ecology, evolution, and clinical aspect of parasites, including the host response to these agents.
So the purpose of parasitology is to study the interaction between parasites and their host. Now let's talk about parasite. Apparently, a parasite is an organism that lives on or in a host of organism, and it gets its food from at the expense of its host. A parasite is a plant or an animal that lives on or with or inside a large species, extracting nutrients. In some cases, the parasite can harm the host, and in other situations, it can be completely harmless. So my chosen parasite is a tick. Tick is a parasitic arachnids of the order Oxydida. They are part of mite superorder Parasitiformes. Ticks are parasites that feed on warm-blooded hosts by biting them. A tick bite can affect humans and animals with bacteria, viruses, and protozoans. So I picked a specific species for tick, which is the American dog tick, or its scientific name Dermacentor variabilis. This is a parasitic arachnida in order of Oxydida or Oxydidae. This Dermacentor variabilis, or say also known as the American dog tick or wood tick, is found predominantly in the United States, east of the Rocky Mountains, and as its name suggests, is the most commonly found on dogs as an adult. This Dermacentor variabilis is a species of tick that is known to carry bacteria responsible for several diseases in humans, including Rocky Mountain spotted fever and tularemia, or Francisella tularensis. It is one of the best-known hard ticks. Diseases are spread when it sucks blood from the host. It may take several days for the host to experience symptoms. Dermacentor ticks may also induce tick paralysis by elaboration of a neurotoxin that induces rapidly progressive flaccid quadriparesis similar to Guillain-Barré syndrome. The neurotoxin prevents presynaptic release of acetylcholine from neuromuscular junctions. So tick has its own life cycle. The life cycle of ticks can vary depending on the species. Most ticks go through 4 stages: egg, 6-legged larva, 8-legged nymph, and an adult. After hatching from the egg, a tick must obtain a blood meal at every stage to survive. Ticks can feed on mammals, birds, reptiles, and amphibians. Unlike most ticks, species D. variabilis or Dermacentor variabilis prefers the same host during all its stage types. So take note that the life cycle of a 3-host tick may take 1 to 2 years depending on whether or not the tick can find a sustainable host between life stages. Second stage is that 6-legged larva feeds on a small mammal, then drops off the ground and moths. Third stage is that 8-legged nymph feeds on a small mammals, then drops off the ground and molts. Its final stage is that 8-legged adults feed and mate on a large mammal, including livestock and pets, then drop off the ground. Males die soon thereafter, and females begin to develop eggs. So here is the distribution and seasonal activity of Dermacentor variabilis. Within North America, the normal range is in the east part of the continent with some reports in California. At the northernmost extent of its geographical range in Nova Scotia and Massachusetts, ticks are active from April to August with a peak in May to June. In coastal Virginia, the adults are active from April to September or October, with peaks in May and July. Seasonal activity in Ohio is from late April to September with peaks in May to June and another smaller peak in August to September. In Georgia, adults are active from late March to August with peaks in early May, and late June. Florida adult activity is from April to July with activity being restricted by being high in summer temperatures and low winter humidity. Disease transmission of a Dermacentor variabilis. Feeding ticks transmit pathogens to the host, depending on the tick species and its stage of life. Preparing to feed can take from 10 minutes to 2 hours. When the tick finds a feeding spot, it grabs the skin and cuts into the surface, where it inserts its feeding tube. Many species also secrete a cement-like substance that keeps them firmly attached during the meal. Ticks also can secrete small amounts of saliva with anesthetic properties so that animals or person cannot feel the tick that has attached itself. If the host animal has a blood-borne infection, the tick will ingest the pathogens with the blood. Small amounts of saliva from the tick may also enter the skin of the host animal during the feeding process. If the tick contains a pathogen, the organism may be transmitted to the host animal in this way. After feeding, most ticks drop off and prepare for the next life stage. At its next feeding, it can then transmit the acquired disease to the new host. So the symptoms of the Rocky Mountain spotted fever appear within 3 to 12 days, usually the beginning within a set of fever and headache, and frequently followed 2 to 4 days later by a rash around the wrist and ankles that moves slowly up to the rest of the body. Other symptoms include nausea, loss of appetite, abdominal pain, or muscle aches. In dogs, additional symptoms may include lethargy, blood in the urine, irregular heartbeat, discolored spots on the skin often bruised or purplish in color, inability to walk normally, loss of coordinates, swelling or edema in the limbs, sudden bleeding from the nose or in the stools, difficulty with blood clotting, swollen lymph nodes, pain in the eyes, inflammation, hemorrhage or conjunctivitis in the mucosal membranes. A tick bite does not automatically transfer diseases to the host. Instead, the tick must be attached to the host for a period of time, generally 6 to 8 hours, but sometimes as little as 3 to 6 hours before it is capable of transferring diseases. The earlier the tick is removed from a host, the less likely is to the contact of illness. Here are the treatments and preventions in dogs. So the American dog tick is commonly found in highly wooded, shrubby, and long grass areas. Tick numbers can be reduced by cutting the grass, which creates a low humidity environment, which is undesirable to ticks. Pesticide can also be used and are most effective when applied to vegetation that has been cut to a short level. Doxycycline is the medicine of choice to treat Rocky Mountain spotted fever in dogs. Doxycycline is given for 7 to 12 days dependent on the dosage. Tetracycline is effective and administered more frequently, being given for 14 to 12 days. Other antibiotic choices include enrofloxacin and chloramphenicol. Veterinary-approved flea and tick preparations are recommended, along with other topicals, collars, and shampoos. Tick removal hooks are recommended in areas where ticks are common. Removing the tick with a finger is never a good idea because squeezing to grasp the tick could potentially inject more infectious materials. Apply rubbing alcohol to the bite area afterwards to thoroughly clean the wound. That would be all. Thank you.